Hey, Catalyst crew. Welcome to Catalyst Corner, episode 93. I'm Evan, and unfortunately, Paul's been kidnapped by goblins, and they're demanding a ransom of a used tissue, 3 marbles, and a sock. So I don't know if we're going to be able to rescue him, but today's going to be a little different. We're going to do a little bit of a solo outing. So I'm going to talk a lot about kind of Catalyst and the business on this episode. We're going to kind of stay away from pop culture. So if that's not something you're into, I would say just wait for 94. So I started Catalyst back in 2021, and it has been quite a journey. And the reason that I want to talk about this is I've been talking to a few people online that are kind of interested in sort of supplementing their income through Etsy. And, you know, times are tough out there for everybody, so it can be, it can be pretty lucrative. And I've had some people reach out to me, and, I wanted to give an honest sort of opinion, I guess, of, what it takes to kind of even get to this to the small level that we're at here at Catalyst. Because I see, I've done a little bit of research, and I've seen quite a few YouTube videos and TikTok videos, and, a lot of these creators are painting sort of this get rich quick with very minimal effort scheme, but they make it sound exciting and, if I can do it, you can do it too, sort of thing. And I do think anyone can do this. I just don't think it's as simple as creating an Etsy account, putting a couple of listings on, kicking your feet up, and watching the money roll in. At least that's not been my experience. Now, before I kind of get into it, the main thing that kind of spurred this episode was it's been brought to my attention that there's a creator with the initials DJ. I won't go any further than that because I don't want to, be liable for anything. And DJ offers a course, an Etsy course that you can pay for. And it ranges from $2,500 to, I think it maxes out at like $7,000. And this particular creator has had a lot of success on Etsy using print on demand. And we'll get into print on demand a little bit later, but to charge that kind of money, and then to offer the course that they are offering is despicable. So if you're thinking about sort of getting into Etsy and anyone suggests the course with the initials DJ, my recommendation for you would be stay away from this particular person and use that money to, pay for advertising, pay for products, pay for, maybe certifications in some of this stuff. Do not, give this person any more money, because they are literally, in my opinion, a con artist. And you can find out the information. I've given you enough to figure that out. So, Etsy's kind of in a weird space right now with Temu is taking a lot of customers away, and there's a lot of sort of AI art. So a lot of creators now on YouTube and TikTok and, all the social platforms are telling people, and they're getting views and views and views. And I've been pretty quiet about, what it takes to make it, just because, I suffer, for like a lot of us, from imposter syndrome, and it never feels like I'm an expert enough to kind of weigh in. But I just feel like things have gotten so out of control, and there's just been, so much quote unquote snake oil being sold that, I wanted to kind of step in. So to start off, if you're thinking about doing AI art, it's not going to move. People don't want AI art. And we can all tell what AI art is. And we, in the Etsy seller community, a lot of people look down on sellers that are trying to peddle AI art. Now, for Catalyst, we don't utilize AI art. I do my own art. I have a team that does some art, and we've had some success. We've kind of been able to ride sort of the wave, although to varying degrees, but it's just never come up as an issue. I've never had anybody, sort of try to call me out. I'm pretty good in the standing of the Etsy community, because I don't support it, first of all, because ultimately, one, it's a form of stealing. You're taking the skills of hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of artists and, sort of feeding that into a machine to generate an image. So you've stolen the blood, sweat, and tears of many, many people. And two, and this one really bothered me. You're not an artist. And a lot of these creators that are entering prompts think that because they entered the prompt the right way that they are an artist. And it's like, no, sit down and learn how to draw or manipulate pictures or utilize, a software like Photoshop or GIMP. But you'll find that if you want to get on Etsy or even, start your own store or go to conventions, because we do all of that as well. AI art is not well received. It doesn't move. And then, so that's a big red flag. So any creator that's telling you, oh, you don't even have to know how to, do art or anything like that, that's a big red flag. The second red flag is people that are pushing print on demand. And is it possible to be successful? Yes. Is it as easy as it was 10 years ago? No. And a lot of creators are pushing print on demand. Whether or not they're also pushing AI art, some do, some don't. The problem with print on demand, and this is again the main focus of DJ's $2,500 course, is for them, because they got in early and they've built up, quite a following. Sure, print on demand worked for them. They've sold millions of dollars and they're doing real well. For a normal, upstart, especially one that's bootstrapping their own, capital, why would a customer... Let me roll that back for a minute. The only way I see you could be successful starting a new print-on-demand shop would be if you have artwork that is totally unique to you, that no one else is selling. For sure. I think it'll take a little bit of time to get, the SEO and the algorithms correctly, but if you are a fantastic artist and you are creating what the people want, then for sure, I think print on demand can be a successful sort of venture, and it's very low startup cost. It doesn't require the skill set to manufacture anything, and you don't have to worry about shipping. You know, it's a great way to sort of bypass, you know, that entry point of, okay, my art is good, but I need to get it on a physical piece of, you know, material. How do I do that? But if you're just going to go on like a website that you can kind of license images or whatever, and think that you're going to put those licensed images on your Etsy store and people are going to buy from you, they're not. You might sell a few things, but the thing of it is, why would I buy from you when I have 10 other people that have 500 5-star reviews and you don't have any? Why would I buy from you if I could buy from that print on demand shop? You know, because there are already 100 print on demand shops that are doing that. So, and the other half of that is, well, I can undercut them. Can you? Because the other half of print on demand is the company that's manufacturing takes a big old chunk. So I think the reason I've never done like a YouTube series on this is because, you know, it's not all doom and gloom, but the only stuff that seems to generate followers is fictional. It's, you can make a ton of money with very minimal work and very low startup cost. All you have to do is license a couple of images, use a print on demand, and, you know, it's that thing where, you know how there are businesses that don't actually offer anything? They're just good at business, resellers, things like that, drop shippers. You're not creating anything. You're a middleman. So, you know, there are people that have found success in licensing images and using print on demand. And like I said, that's just not the case for people starting up. And a lot of people reach out and say, hey, I started my shop 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, and I don't have any sales. And then you look at their shop and it's just stock photos, print on demand. Now, we took a kind of an opposite approach of that, and we make everything in-house. So we learned how to make the t-shirts, we learned how to make the mugs, we learned how to make, you know, the foil art, the bookmarks, the stickers, the coasters. And that's kept our cost very, you know, obviously getting the equipment for everything is a big initial cost. But it keeps our profit kind of larger because we're not paying a middleman to kind of create the physical material. So my recommendation for people would be, you know, if you want to go the art route where it's like, you know, how we're doing it with stickers and art prints and etc., get yourself a decent printer, something that can do 13 by 19, so you can offer a big, you know, and they're relatively affordable. I mean, you know, a couple $100 or whatever, and get yourself, you know, either a Cricut or a Silhouette or a small cutter. And that'll allow you to make art prints and stickers. And then if you can sort of, you know, start to build a following, you have to work on your social media, and you start making some money off of the art prints and stickers, and you want to kind of go into other things, then at least you've generated some revenue, and you can kind of reassess and decide what the next step would be. The only things that I really wouldn't recommend at this point, t-shirts is very tedious. It's a good profit margin, but it's very expensive to kind of get into it. And, you know, you can make your own t-shirt printer, but that comes with a whole slew of problems. But to buy one, I mean, you're talking about, you know, $7 to $10,000, which for a lot of us, that's quite a bit of capital. I mean, if you can afford it, more power to you. But as I said, you know, for most of us that are either doing this as a sort of a side hustle, or, you know, like us, we do this full time, but we're very small. $7,000 in one machine is a pretty significant amount of money. So, you know, I would recommend that if you're not planning on doing your own artwork, I think the best way to look at Etsy is you have to, in order to be successful, you have to create something, because the middleman positions are already filled. So if you're trying to get in print on demand with AI or licensed images, I think that window is closed. If you want to take licensed images and make them yourself on your own materials, I think you can do okay. If you want to do your own art on print on demand, I think you can do okay, even great. But just keep in mind, you know, for example, for us, if we sell 10 t-shirts, we're doing okay. If you sell 100, you're doing like we do 10. So just something to keep in mind. But the print on demand game is, you know, if you can get that kind of volume, you'll be doing fine. But, you know, like Catalyst has to sell 10 shirts to print on demand's 100, right? So at the same price, mind you. So, you know, just something to think about. Another thing that I see a lot of people sleep on is sort of the social media, and that is a critical part of this game. You have to post, you have to be on there, you have to join the communities and the forums and all that sort of thing, and really, you know, put the effort into it, really get the name out there. You know, when I first started, I did okay. I sold some things, and I was like, okay, good. I don't have to kind of be on social, because it's a lot of work. And things started slowing down, and, you know, in a panic, I started making all these social media accounts, and that's kind of generated some interest, right? And kind of as you grow, you can sort of get it down to a formula. I mean, again, it's social media is its own animal, but as long as you have a presence there, you know, it just adds to the legitimacy of your business and what you're trying to do, and you know, things like that. So, I mean, right off the bat, I would say if you're trying to get into Etsy doing artwork, be prepared to create something. Be prepared for it to be somewhat, at least slow in the beginning. And, you know, don't get frustrated with the AI and the print on demand people telling you that you can make, you know, $1 million in your first year or $100,000 in your first year, because they're snake oil salesmen, and they're, you know, they're getting you excited to sell you their course. And then their course just ends up being, here's the AI art websites, here's the print on demand websites, you can do it too. So, you know, that's just my 2 cents on starting an Etsy store. And Etsy's kind of changed their rules recently, where before it didn't really cost anything to start your account, and now it's $13 for verification they're trying to get rid of drop shippers and AI artists and things like that. And, you know, hopefully that will help. I just think as the consumers get a little more savvy to what the AI art is, and just the flexibility you get with someone that is making their stuff versus someone that is print on demand selling their stuff. Like, I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, can you put an image, one of our shirts on the back of the shirt instead of the front? Yeah, no problem. You want me to put a little graphic on the front as well? Yeah, that'd be great. And it's no skin off of me because, again, everything's made in-house. So it's, no big deal. And people appreciate that, that you can do that sort of thing. And that's really, at least from my experience, when you go that extra mile, people really do appreciate it. Now, the other thing, as far as customer service goes, when you're shipping through the post office, they're going to lose orders. It happens. Nothing against the post office. It's just the nature of the beast. Orders disappear, get lost. I would say 99% of the time, I give my customers the benefit of the doubt. And again, we manufacture everything, so very low material costs. So I have the luxury of having good customer service. Oh, your stickers got lost in the mail? Let me send you out another set. Oh, your t-shirt didn't show up? Let me send you out another one. And I would say 99% of the time, people are really appreciative and grateful, and you don't get a lot of angry people because you are willing to help them. There is that 1%, and for that 1%, especially if you come in, if they come in rude or things like that, I direct them to file a claim with Etsy because, again, we're small. So if you treat me like a person and decent, I'm going to go as far as I can to make sure I help you. If you treat me like I'm an asshole, I'm going to do just what the policy says, And I think that's true in a lot of businesses. When you call into customer service, those are people on the phone with you. So whether you're mad at the company or not, you're talking to, someone that's not making a ton of money that is abused all day. So, showing a little bit of decorum and even kindness can get you a lot further than, screaming someone's head off. So those are kind of some of the sort of pitfalls and things like that I've found. And hopefully if you're thinking about doing this, you've already got some skill sets down. Maybe you're good at woodworking. Maybe you're good at, digital drawing on Illustrator or Photoshop or, even GIMP if you want to go with a free version. I think you can get pretty far. To be honest, I learned how to use photo editing software on GIMP. And then as my skill set progressed, eventually I made the switch to Adobe, but that's a big bill. That's a lot of money every month for someone just starting out. I will say we've done rather well, and we don't really follow trends. We kind of just do our own thing. So I know a lot of people will say, hey, you got to follow the whatever the trends are on Etsy, you have to follow them. But I think if you're producing a good product, you'll do well. Whether you're following the, cottagecore or whatever the trends are for that month or quarter on Etsy, I think you'll still do fairly well. One thing I will kind of note is that you do have to make sort of sacrifices in what you're doing. So, for example, when I first started out, I did a lot of Oni drawings, right? I was really into Oni masks and Hanya masks and, Japanese kabuki masks, things like that. And I really thought they were going to do well, and they do okay. They do okay, but they don't do as well as, some of my meme art or some of my horror posters or things like that. So, you have to, I guess as far as trends go, you have to kind of find the trends in your specific niche of art and kind of acquiesce to them more so than like the major trends of Etsy, right? Kind of a funny example is if you look at our store, we have a lot of, Oni masks and horror art and sort of things like that, some funny t-shirts, et cetera, et cetera. During the holidays, I tried to make some very sincere kind of, I call it like live, love, laugh shit. And I couldn't move any of it because people don't want that from Catalyst. That's not what we're known for. So just trying to get in on a trend of, it's the holidays, I'll be home for Christmas or whatever the fuck you're doing. If that's not what you set out to do initially, it's not like you can just break into that, right? Because people that are looking for that stuff aren't looking to sort of our company to do that. So I can sell Krampus stuff all day during the holidays, but I can't sell, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year type of shit, because that's not what I built my brand off of. So that's just kind of an idea, give you guys an idea of like jumping on trends doesn't always work. And we're a well-established shop. We have 2,000 sales, almost 600 5-star reviews. And, we're not as big as some of these people, but again, we've been doing this for a couple of years, and, we've seen some success. Now, I'll give you one last kind of pitfall, and then we can move on. Stay away from intellectual property, because it's I call it the heroin of the business. And what I mean by that is it's a quick fix. You'll sell a lot of shit initially, but you are taking a gamble every time you do it. Now, if you can't tear yourself away from it, I would learn what parody is, because you can parody things all day. But if you want to genuinely do fan art or IP or anything that's copywritten, all it takes is for the copyright holder to file a strike, and Etsy automatically sides with them. And generally, if you're doing IP infringement, you're infringing from a big corporation. So if you counter claim them, they're going to sue you, and you're not going to win that. Now, I've been pretty public on the cast about how I feel about copyright and how it needs reform, but in the current reality and the current sort of climate, I would stay away from IP in infringing at all, because you'll get sales. It's the fastest way to get sales, but it's like speeding, right? Not everybody gets a ticket, not everybody gets pulled over, but people do get tickets and people do get pulled over. Now, that being said, if you are going down the dark path of IP infringement, the two I would absolutely stay away from are the mouse and the boy wizard, because those two particular properties are notorious for scouring the internet and filing copyright claims. There may be more obscure things that you can get away with, and and again, you'll go on there. You'll go on Etsy and start searching, and you'll see people just blatantly infringing and going like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And you can, but Etsy will shut your shop down, and if they do, you get permabanned. There's no coming back from sort of an Etsy ban. You know, they lock your IP, so, and you know, it's pretty much over at that point from Etsy, and they do generate a lot of traffic, so it's very hard to kind of give that source of revenue up. If you are already on Etsy and you're doing okay, or you're saying, you know, I feel pretty confident, what would be the next step? I would say start looking into local conventions, because again, you're getting your name out there, and conventions can be stressful. I mean, my first one, I was terrified I wasn't going to sell anything, and then, you know, even though we had a successful Etsy store, but we do fairly well in conventions, and it's fun to meet people. It's fun to see people's reaction to the art sort of in real time, as opposed to just getting a nice review, you know, a week after they get the product or something. So I would say don't, you know, if you have a good repertoire of products, you know, especially if you're making them yourself, don't be afraid to, you know, sign up for a convention. I mean, you know, you got to pay, but they're generally reasonable, and you'll, you know, if you have a good con, you'll make some money. I try to do one a month with varying success. Sometimes you don't get in, you know, they have a wait list, etc. But, you know, I think that's a great supplement to sort of the online store, the Etsy store. And as you grow, you'll get opportunities. I mean, I've done logos for businesses and things of that nature as well. I mean, I've gotten success from places I would never think of. But, you know, I just thought, with obviously Paul being kind of kidnapped by goblins this week, and, you know, we'll have to kind of dig him out of the pit. Instead of talking about pop culture and things like that, I'd give you guys kind of an insight to sort of, you know, one of our main revenue streams. And again, I just think there's a lot of misinformation about Etsy and about starting a store and actually being profitable. And I would much prefer people go into something like that with their eyes open than to spend $2,500 or $5,000 on a course and be told print on demand is the way to go, because it just absolutely is not. That ship has sailed for the most part. There are very specific situations where you can make money. That being said, if you're successful on Etsy, you can make anywhere from, you know, as a small business, $1,000 to $10,000 a month, you know, and as a supplemental income, that can really help you. But what are you guys' opinions on, you know, sort of my journey and my thoughts on Etsy? I mean, let me know what you guys are thinking. Do you want to start a store? Do you need advice? Let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to start a dialogue with people, you know, that are interested in getting into this business. I mean, you know, I jokingly say sort of at the beginning of all my long-winded speeches, just don't. It's bad for your mental health. It's bad for your wallet. But I mean, if you don't want to listen to that warning, I'm always happy to, you know, if you're crazy like me, let's start a dialogue. But, you know, as always, you know where we're at. CatalystCrafting.com is our main website. Catalyst Creations NH is our Etsy store. And, you know, we'll be at Free Comic Book Day on May the 4th be with you in Manchester, New Hampshire at Double Midnight Comics. We're going to be at Fan Expo in June down in Boston. Monster Expo in July in Nashua. Wicked Expo in August in Boston. And Granite Con in September. And then, of course, Northeast Comic Con in November. So if you guys are kind of local to our New England area and you want to come see what we're doing, feel free. But again, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments or shoot us an email. support@catalystcrafting.com. And yeah. All right, crew. Catch you on the next one.